News Radio KMAN weather.
This afternoon, a high of 69, mostly sunny and an east wind. Could be as high as 20 miles per hour. 41 our low tonight, partly cloudy and a west wind 5 miles per hour. Sunshine around all weekend long. Friday's high will be 69. Increasing clouds on Friday night, low 45. Mostly sunshine again on Saturday. Temperatures in the low 60s. Expecting a high of 42 on Sunday in both Saturday night, Sunday night. Lows below freezing.
Weather on News Radio KMAN is brought to you by Sunset Zoo. Come see Santa and walk the Luminary Trail November 29th and 30th. For tickets and times, visit sunsetzoo.com.
Digging deeper into the conversations, trends, and ideas impacting Manhattan and the Flint Hills. This is Within Reason with Mike Matson on News Radio KMAN.
If you are a patient on the operating table, the visualization of the surgeon coming toward you with a scalpel can be a bit intimidating. Breast cancer surgery brings an entire new layer of concern and worry. But there's a new technology now in use in our region that's aimed at bringing the fear levels down and the confidence levels up. My guests today are Dan Regier and Pat Landis. They're a pair of physicians that are associated with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills campus in Junction City. My name is Mike Matson. I'm a former radio and TV news reporter, a one-time political operative and lobbyist. These days, I'm an author and an opinion columnist for the Manhattan Mercury, and I bring what I like to describe as a career's worth of journalistic instincts to this job. Your host for this program, we call it Within Reason. It is designed specifically to foster critical thinking. We are presented by Stormont Vail Health, McCown Gordon Construction, and the Trust Company. We're live on News Radio KMAN. We are live streaming on YouTube. You can watch us visually by going to that website, search News Radio KMAN. There you will find us, and we're being recorded and will be posted as an unedited audio podcast made available on the KMAN website and wherever you get audio podcasts. Dan Regier and Pat Landis, welcome to our program.
Morning, Mike.
Delighted to have you guys here. We always start with what we call the 101. So, Dan, let's start with you. Give us the Dr. Daniel Regier 101.
All right. Thank you, Max, for having us. I am from rural Nebraska. I've always been a Midwestern. I born and raised in Imperial, Nebraska, and then did some of my schooling at Chadron State. Went over to medical school in Omaha, and from there went on to residency for general surgery outside of the Midwest over in West Virginia, then decided to come back after being recruited with my wife. So.
Excellent. Pat Landis, give us the 101 from your life.
Well, I'm originally from Derby, Kansas, down by Wichita. I went to Wichita State for undergrad training, then went to the Kansas City University School for Medical Training, then trained in the Michigan State program for 5 years. I've been in Junction City at used to be Geary Community Hospital, and now it's Stormont Vail Flint Hills campus. Been there since 1997.
And we're here to talk a little bit about some new technology that's in play within your system related to cancer. And before we get into the specifics, let's take it up a little bit higher. Just give us a sense of what you do within the system, Dan.
I'm a general surgeon. I'm stationed at Junction City, and my partners are in the main campus at Topeka, all through the Stormont Vail system. And so I, as the single partner out there, offer a variety of services through the general surgery aspect. Breast cancer now being a part of what we're going to be ramping up with, kind of the things we're going to talk about later today.
So if I am a patient, as I described at the beginning, right, if I'm on the operating table and you're coming at me with a scalpel, it could be for any number of different operations.
Yep, that's correct. Hernias, gallbladders. I do a lot of elective surgeries, as well as surgeries that come in either emergently or urgently through the ER, and there's also some combined cases through my other colleagues.
Visiting today with Dan Regier and Pat Landis, who are associated with the Stormont Vail Flint Hills campus in Junction City. Pat, give us a sense of your role.
So as a diagnostic radiologist, I read all different types of studies, x-rays, CTs, MRIs, mammograms, nuclear medicine studies. We use those to find a variety of things to support your physician and your care.
When you think about it, right, it is lay people when they go to a doctor, when they go to a healthcare system, there's a sort of an innate level of trust, especially here in the middle of the country. That's the way we were raised. Doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals know what they're doing. Do you find that still to be sort of the culture, Dan?
Yeah, I would say so. I grew up in a very small town. A lot of our healthcare tried to stay within that community, but we had a lot of people travel. One of the things I think that Dr. Landis and I both in Junction City try to do is try to keep healthcare that's collective, that's multidisciplinary, but that people can stay at home to receive.
And you think about it, right? It's a tough time if you're going to the doctor and you determine that you're going to need surgery or you're going to need all these tests to determine if you need surgery. That can put people that can off-put people, right? It makes them a little nervous. It makes them a little scared. Clearly, that's a huge part of what you guys do to help put people at ease, Dr. Landis.
Sure. So as far as mine goes regarding breast cancer workups, I will review studies if they have a diagnostic mammogram where they have a certain problem. They feel something, their doctor feels something showed up on their mammogram. We'll take additional steps with either mammography or ultrasound to address the area of concern.
When you think about cancer, right, and when you think about breast cancer, right, give us a sense from the mountaintop view, from the 100,000-foot level of how diagnosticians have improved and what it looked like a generation ago, what's it look like today related to how you can hone in on if there's a problem. Let's start with you, Dr. Landis.
Well, the technology has just improved dramatically since I've been out, and it was from the old days back in the 80s. It's really impressive, and with the digital techniques that we have and the new tomography systems that we have in mammography, we can hone down in through dense breast tissue to find different things and get those addressed.
Similar for you, Dr. Regier?
Yes, I would also say that the way that we look at breast cancer and how breast cancer has been funded with the research and the advancements in just the treatment alone, I think has been outstanding. From my time in medical school to residency to now as a practicing attending, that has changed drastically in those years. A lot with the surgical techniques that we're offering, as well as the aftercare with medical oncology and chemoradiation.
One of the things we're going to talk about here in a little bit is this notion called MagSeed, right? It is what brings you guys here. It is a new technology that is in place in the region. But before we get into that, because it's very complex and it's complicated for those of us who are lay people, so we're going to ask you guys to unpack that sort of one step at a time. But before we go there, give us a sense from the perspective of the patient. When you determine that there is in fact breast cancer, right? What happens at that point? Dr. Landis.
So there's two types of mammograms. There's the screening mammogram where a lady comes in just to get her pictures taken, doesn't have a problem, doesn't feel anything, we're not following anything from prior mammograms. And then there's the diagnostic mammogram, which means you have a problem. Either we saw something previously, you feel something, your doctor feels something, or we're following something from a prior mammogram we thought was okay, but we're going to check it again. So from that point, we'll do additional steps to address the area of concern, and I'll go through those steps. And once I've completed my workup, then I'll talk to the patient directly and show them their images of what I'm concerned about, so that they can visually understand what the problem is.
And at that point, right, that's where you, Dr. Regier, come into play, if in fact surgery is determined to be a solution?
Correct. My role at that point is to not only see the patient if they have an abnormal lump or a mass or something that's concerning, but also if that concerning lesion, so to say, is biopsied, meaning taking a small tissue of that sample and then being able to process it and identify that is cancer. And that's when I become part of the care team.
Dr. Daniel Regier is a general surgery specialist with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills Campus General Surgery Department in Junction City. Dr. Patrick Landis is a radiologist who is affiliated with the same system, and together they work to help breast cancer patients with a new technology called MagSeed. We're just getting started, and we'll talk about that here as we progress. Please stay with us.
This is Within Reason with Mike Matson on News Radio, KMAN.
At Stormont Vail Health, high-quality care is right around the corner.
Stormont Vail is more than just a health system. We're your neighbors, dedicated to supporting the well-being of our community and the Flint Hills region. With our strong partnerships, including collaborations with the Mayo Clinic Care Network, other healthcare providers, and various community organizations, we're committed to offering personalized, high-quality care when and where you need it most.
Stormont Vail Health, high-quality care closer to home.
When your phone is at the bottom of the pool or face down on the pavement, it's Central Time. All you have to do is pay your cell phone bill with your Bazing checking account, and you're covered. Ask about cell phone protection that comes with value checking at Central National Bank, or visit centralnational.com for details. Cell phone protection is subject to the terms and conditions detailed by Bazing.
Central National Bank, money for life.
Member FDIC in your hometown since 1884.
If you've missed the Kim Komando Show, you've missed a lot.
Yeah, they forced Claude to unlearn all the information it got from the pirated technology.
And it's a $1.5 billion landmark settlement. A reader from the current newsletter sent me a note. He put his name in. He made $6,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, not bad for getting a free newsletter.
America's digital goddess,
Kim Komando. Kim Komando. Saturday mornings at 9 on News Radio, KMAN. Your daily dose of sports conversation. The game starts at 4. This is Within Reason with Mike Matson on News Radio, KMAN.
We have returned to continue our dialogue today with general surgery specialist Dr. Daniel Regier and radiologist Dr. Pat Landis. They are both associated with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills Campus General Surgery Department in Junction City. Before the break, guys, we were talking about just sort of the chronology of how it works when a patient thinks there might be breast cancer. Dr. Landis, walk us through that again.
So once we complete our diagnostic radiology workup and there's an area of concern that either we're not sure it's a cancer or we're fairly certain that it's going to be a cancer, and I'll show them their images and explain to them that they're going to need to have an ultrasound-guided biopsy where we place a needle up against the area of concern. We'll poke a few holes through that and get some tissue, send that off to pathology to make the actual diagnosis. And then once a breast cancer diagnosis is confirmed, then the surgeon starts their workup as well.
Is it, Dr. Regier, is surgery is just one of many options when it comes to you?
Correct. I think with the diagnosis of breast cancer can lead to what we determine as a multidisciplinary team as surgery first versus surgery second to potential chemotherapy. There's always a potential of additional modalities, including radiation therapy, as well as chemotherapy after surgery. There are also some patients who never end up getting surgery, and so that's part of our multidisciplinary team with medical oncology, the surgeon, radiation oncology, as well as a radiologist and pathologist, all of us helping to try to determine the best care.
The knowledge, the sort of pool of data, the intellectual sort of property that's involved in all of this work, it's much broader, it's much smarter today than it was when you guys started your career with respect to this.
Yeah, I think the multidisciplinary approach is really the biggest thing too. That not one physician is going to be able to take care of everything, but if they work together, and it depends on there's different cell types as far as breast cancer goes that have better response to different kinds of treatments and so on. So.
Visiting today with Dr. Pat Landis and with Dr. Dan Regier. They're both involved with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills campus in Junction City. We brought you on today, guys, to talk about something called MagSeed, right? It's a relatively new technology. I'm going to speak for most of our listeners who know nothing about it. So who wants to go first and explain to us what MagSeed is?
I can go first.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, Dr. Regier, please.
So MagSeed, as simple as it can be, is a small seed localizing tool. And what I use it for in the OR is to use for identifying where this area of concern is that's now been diagnosed as breast cancer. It can also be used for benign tissues, so cancers or ideas that tissue that's not cancer within a breast, for localizing that and taking only out that tissue during surgery.
And so what's special? What's unique about this technology?
I think what's unique is the simplicity as well as the safety profile. This is essentially just a piece of magnetic metal that we place within the breast tissue itself, and we have the instruments and the technology to locate that more specifically and allow us to guide surgery that's safer for patients.
And so just, again, for those of us who don't live and breathe the world that you guys do every day, how big is that piece of metal and how do you get it in there?
A couple millimeters.
So it's really small.
Yep. And then for placement, I can actually have Dr. Landis describe the process.
Please.
So it's a little bit similar to our ultrasound-guided biopsy. We'll use ultrasound to have the MagSeed needle placed directly inside the central portion of the mass itself. when we do a biopsy anyway, we put a little marker clip. So I put that mag seed right adjacent to the marker clip from the prior biopsy in the central portion of the mass. So that way it's not migrating through loose tissue in the breast itself. It's more pinned down to guide the surgeon's approach to take out the appropriate area.
In the marker clip, is it similar material?
Similar, yeah. It's actually a little smaller, a little kind of curly Q shaped, whereas the mag seed is linear.
Okay, fair enough. Visiting today with Dr. Pat Landis and with Dr. Dan Regier. They're both involved with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills campus in Junction City, and we're talking to them today about a relatively new technology that is within use with respect to breast cancer patients. It's called mag seed, right? And so once you get it in there, what does it allow you to do as physicians that perhaps other technologies might not?
So from my perspective within the surgical realm, it allows me to localize that tumor. When I'm operating, a lot of the tissue that I look at in the OR looks very, very similar. And so what I use it as a small device to help locate where the center of that tissue of concern, or if we can call that breast cancer, is going to be. And that helps me essentially remove tissue that's safe around it. So I'm only pulling out the cancer itself, and I'm not having to take more tissue than I have to.
So you're a surgeon. You do this every day, right? Those of us who aren't, right, are going to be afraid of this, right? And so so help us understand what does cancer look like when you get in there?
It can vary from patient to patient, case to case, but a lot of cancer that we use this mag seed, mag trace on, is cancer that can sometimes not be palpable, meaning that you cannot push and feel that you actually have a tumor. But this is something that was found on radiology beforehand, biopsied beforehand, known to be cancer, and so it helps guide our care with making sure that all that cancer is removed locally.
When you think about the mag seed technology, Dr. Landis, how does it compare to what you were using before in terms of its state-of-the-artness?
So previously for breast localization or breast cancer localization, we were using what's called a wire localization, where we would place a needle through the actual mass and then place a thin guide wire through the needle, remove the needle, and there was a thickened area on that wire which was in the central portion of the mass that the surgeon would physically feel with their fingers to make sure that they were in the right spot. They could trace the wire down, dissect the wire down to around the mass and remove that area. Sometimes, and we would use mammography for that most of the time, but there were some times where it could be just the change in the position from when the woman goes from being in the mammography system, just sitting back, it would alter the position a little bit. So the mag seed allows for a more localized area that's more stable and less chance for movement.
Does it allow, this may be the wrong word, but does it allow you as physicians to be more exact?
I think it's better localization of the actual mass itself.
When you think of, Dr. Regier, when you think about what you do with respect to the mag seed, and when you think about how it compares to the previous stuff, walk us through what actually physically this material is and what actually happens scientifically in there.
The mag seed, with its simplicity as discussed before, I think having a magnetic tracer with a probe, this probe essentially is able to pull off the signal from this magnetic seed and tell us where the highest signaling is. The highest signaling be exactly where that cancer is going to be and where that surgery needs to take place. With the mag seed being the small filament component that we were talking about earlier, the mag trace is actually injectable coupled to where it's just a solution made of ferritin, which is iron, plus salt, sugar, and water. So it's a pretty simple recipe.
So the data that you get from the mag seed, and again, ignorant question, right? I'm not a doctor. Is it you see it on a scope? Is it numbers? Help us understand how you actually do that.
It's I use a probe in the OR that's all sterilized, and that probe gives me numbers that range from a couple hundred all the way to a couple thousand. And as I'm reaching that couple thousand, it means I'm getting closer to that seed, which means I'm getting closer to where that cancer is going to be.
When you think about the mag seed, how does that affect the planning for the surgical incision and the tissue removal?
It greatly affects it. It allows for us to discuss with the patient from their preoperative imaging within the clinic visit with me earlier, where that incision is going to be, potentially how big that incision is going to be. And then we always confirm within the OR our anticipated expectations with the patient.
Visiting today with Dr. Daniel Regier and with Dr. Patrick Landis. They are both associated with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills campus. Dr. Regier is a general surgeon, and Dr. Landis is a radiologist. Talking about MagSeed, a relatively new technology to this area. Are you familiar with the history of it, how long it's been around and where it came from, either of you?
Not specifically. I mean, I read the literature provided by the representative, but they've used it for quite a while in Europe and other parts of the country as well. So
when you do the test with the MagSeed, when you get that data and you sit down with the patient, do they have a sense? Do they understand that this is a new technology and that this is going to be much more information, right? More informed decision making than perhaps in the past?
Well, I think there's greater confidence in the lung section, so you're not having to take out a large deal of breast tissue, as they were, in the past to some degree. I think this allows better tumor marker and to figure out what needs to be removed and how big it is. We have some idea of how big the tumor is based on the preoperative imaging, but I think with this, it's a better confidence factor.
How can you confirm that the entire tumor and the MagSeed have been removed during surgery?
Part of that process is I'll send off the specimen, and I'll actually send it to a radiologist to perform imaging to make sure that both the seed as well as the marker from the biopsy are both within the specimen. With that imaging, you can also make sure that there's a healthy amount of tissue that's not cancerous around the lesion that we removed. And then we also send that off to pathology, and pathology is the definitive answer.
Breast cancer, any cancer, right? You guys are physicians. You deal with patients who encounter these challenges every day, right? Any time you hear the word cancer, it's scary, right? It is frightening for the patient, right? And I'm not a woman. I can't imagine what it would be like if you get diagnosed with breast cancer. You guys deal with patients who get that. Can you give us a broad generalization of their level of fear and just trepidation when they enter into something like this, Dr. Landis?
There's always concern, and I try to tell patients what I think. They're paying me for my opinion and based on my experience and things like that. If I'm not sure what it is, I'd say, this is tissue that I just don't know. We need to get some tissue and see what's going on. If I feel like, pretty much 100% this is going to be a breast cancer, I will tell them right away so that they can start preparing themselves. But I think it's also important for patients to see their images. So instead of just talking to the patient, let them visualize it and wrap their brain around it and see what their next challenge is going to be and how we need to take care of this.
And as a radiologist, clearly you're doing that every day. You'll be able to put those images right in front of them and explain to them what they're looking at.
I've been doing that since I've been in Junction City since '97. I always felt that was really important, that the patients should be closely involved in their decision making. So to do that, they need to see their images and understand what's going on, have it explained to them.
And that makes all kinds of sense. And then at that point, they'll be able to make some informed decisions about their own health care. And that's where you come into the conversation, I would suspect,
Yep.
Dr. Regier.
That's correct. I think, having the diagnosis of cancer while you're entering my office is always a period of privilege for me to take a patient in their weakest moment, their moments of greatest anxiety, and tell them that we have a plan to take care of them.
Fair enough. As a radiologist, Dr. Pat Landis of the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills campus reviews the imaging results from tests such as x-rays and PET scans to diagnose disease. Dr. Daniel Regier is a general surgery specialist with advanced training in diagnosing and surgically treating a wide range of conditions that affect almost any part of the body. More still to come with Doctors Landis and Regier. Stay with us.
This is Within Reason with Mike Matson on News Radio, KMAN.
Stormont Vail Health is your go-to for exceptional care right in your own neighborhood.
The Flint Hills campus in Junction City is open 24/7 with a full-service hospital and rural health clinic. You'll find primary care and advanced lab services at our Wamego clinic to keep your family healthy without the drive. Our Manhattan campus offers a wide range of primary and specialty providers, plus imaging and lab services, and a pick-me-up at Radina's inside our campus. Visit StormontVail.org.
Stormont Vail Health. High quality care closer to home.
At ESB Financial, we think it makes sense to pay you. That's right, get paid 5.04% annual percentage yield on balances up to $20,000 with our free Kasasa Cash checking account. We'll even refund your ATM fees nationwide, and the best part is there's no monthly service charges or minimum balances to keep. All you have to do to earn your rewards are a few simple things each month. The best part? These things make banking easier. Visit esbfinancial.com to learn more. Special terms may apply. ESB Financial, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
For area high school scores, recaps, league standings, and coach interviews, check out Scoreboard Saturday at 8 a.m. during football and basketball season, including coverage of the Centennial League, NCKL, Big East League, Flint Hills League, and the Twin Valley League. Scoreboard Saturday on News Radio KMAN is powered by WTC Communications.
This is Within Reason with Mike Matson on News Radio KMAN.
We are back to continue our dialogue today with radiologist Dr. Pat Landis and general surgery specialist Dr. Daniel Regier with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills Campus General Surgery Department in Junction City. Together they're employing a new technology. It's called the MagSeed marker. It's designed to simplify breast cancer treatment from the time the cancer is marked through to when it is removed in surgery. Dr. Regier, surgery is just one option in a case like this, right? So give us a sense, once the diagnosis has come in, clearly it's going to be up to the individual case, but what options are out there for treatment of breast cancer?
We normally divide treatment into two categories. One is local, which would be surgery for us, and that's where I'm heavily involved. And then the other modality of treatment is systemic treatment. And systemic treatment can involve chemotherapy, it can involve radiation, as well as different medications to help reduce hormones just for specific cancers.
And what are sort of the markers that you guys use to determine which one to recommend?
A lot of those markers are actually based off of what that initial biopsy looks like. So when Dr. Landis was taking the piece of tissue, sending it off to pathology, they'll normally run some tests, do some evaluation of what that tumor looks like, how it's growing, and kind of just the overall characteristics which help guide our recommendations and care.
Visiting today with Dr. Daniel Regier and Dr. Pat Landis. They're involved with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills campus in Junction City. So when you think about that, what Dr. Regier just mentioned, Dr. Landis, your job as a radiologist, when you think of all the options available to you, for those of us, again, who don't live this every day, what's it look like when that happens?
So we look at different things like the size of the lesion of concern. Is there more than one? What do the margins of it look like? How big is it? Because there's a cutoff of 2 centimeters typically, which kind of changes the categorization of what you're going to be doing treatment-wise from there and beyond. Then also, what kind of cell type is the cancer? There's a few different kinds of that. Are they responsive to female hormones, estrogen, progesterone, things like that? All those things have been looked at by different scientific agencies, and as far as what treatment regimens need to be employed based on that type of tumor and those other different factors.
Is it again? I'm going to ask a really ignorant question, right? Is it? Are there broad numbers with respect to malignancy versus benign?
Well, breast cancer is a malignancy. There are benign tumors. There's the most common benign tumor is a fibroadenoma, which we'll see in ladies even when they're teenagers. They'll come in with a breast mass, and we'll do a workup on them. We'll do a biopsy if it's a solid mass, just to confirm that that's what it is. Benign tumors can still grow locally. They're just not going to go elsewhere and spread trouble. So, but those are the things that we look at.
When you think about you guys in your life and your careers, right? You have made the decision at some point in your life to say, I'm gonna get into healthcare. I'm gonna do this to help other people, right? Is that something? I'm gonna talk to each of you about that. So let's start with you, Dr. Regier. You're a little bit younger than I am, than Dr. Landis is. You talked about growing up in rural Nebraska. Mm-hmm. Give us a sense of your upbringing and when you started to think about healthcare as a profession and a lifestyle.
My mom was an RN at our local hospital, and she was a person of many hats when it came to helping the ER, working floors, working nights, helping specialty clinics. She was definitely, I think, the largest influence that I had from a understanding of what the healthcare was, and kind of piqued my interest in being in a hospital and being involved in some fashion.
Is it similar with you, Dr. Landis? Did you know as a teenager that, yep, I'm going to do this for a living? Give us a sense of your
Not
life
really.
decision.
I think I made that decision later on when I was in college. My dad was an optometrist, and he was really, really good with people. And I always admired the way that he was able to speak to people and kind of put them at ease. And I like science a lot. And my dad developed lung cancer, and I started out at KU, and I went home to Wichita State to help take care of him, and he passed away eventually. But that's just what kind of got me going to think about healthcare as a profession.
Big part of it, clearly, dealing with people, right? You guys have each touched on this so far in the conversation with respect to the skills and what you need, what you bring to the table as the healthcare provider when the patient is, they're going to be afraid, right? Are those skills that you've had, or have you had to develop them?
I think most of the skills that, we use to talk with patients every day are somewhat inherent. The ability to take all the scientific knowledge, data, techniques, things that we've studied for years and years, and make them a digestible piece of information for patients, and help put them at ease and talk to them as if they're one of, a family member or a friend.
Yeah, it's like anything, right? It's like any human relationship. You want to be able to have the ability to listen and hear, and then respond in a way that's going to have meaning in their life. Have you developed skills as your career has progressed, Dr. Landis?
I hope so.
You're better at this now than you were when you started?
I think so. I think, again, a lot of it is, they're coming to you with concerns.
Yeah.
And you're the subject matter expert, and they want you to make it understandable. And I tell patients, I try to, explain things to make it so easy that even I would understand it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important to put them at ease. And again, I'm a firm believer in looking at your images and having somebody talk to you about them, to visualize it and wrap your brain around it, and instead of just telling them you got breast cancer. Show me the characteristics, and I'll tell them, I think these are things that are in your favor when I see something. The size, it's less than 2 centimeters. There's only one of them. There's, different things like that to kind of help them say, I think, you've got a problem, but I think there's a lot of things in your favor here that this can be dealt with and be done with it all together.
I know that I'm not.
But again, one more thing to add on: yearly mammograms, yearly physician follow-up is so important. It is not stressed enough. It's not something to do every once in a while when you feel like it. It is so important to have that done every year.
We were gonna hit on that. So let's talk about that since you mentioned it, right? What is the recommendation from the medical profession with respect to mammograms?
They recommend every 1 to 2 years, but I'm a firm believer in every year because I've seen in my career people that miss one or a couple years, and then lo and behold they've got something that's really a problem. Whereas maybe if they would have caught it each year, we might have caught it sooner.
It's like anything, right? The earlier you catch it, the easier it's going to be to treat, Dr. Regier?
That's correct. And just some statistics that are pretty outstanding. 1 in 8 women are going to be affected by breast cancer within their lifetime.
1 in 8.
1 in 8. And so this
over a lifetime.
Over a lifetime. So this is a cancer that definitely has the ability to invade most people's lives in some fashion. A friend, a family member, yourself. And the incidence or the actual diagnoses of breast cancer is over 300,000 women in the United States yearly.
That is significant. Is it hereditary?
Yep. It can be. Yep, there are some components of breast cancer that can be related to genetics. There's also some where it's more of a spontaneous cancer, meaning as life goes on and cells get older, they eventually can develop into cancer.
When you think about the survival rate, and again, you guys do it every day. I'm a layperson, right? I just have to assume that given all the technology and the opportunities to intervene earlier, the survival rate's so much better today than it was when you started your career. Let's start with you, Dr. Landis.
Yeah, I think it's a dramatic effect, and imaging has gotten better, and patients are more attuned to doing their monthly self-examinations and seeing their physicians on a yearly basis. I think we're catching it, or catching more of them, or we're catching them sooner based on that diligence.
Yep.
Similar to you, with you, Dr. Regier?
Early cancer always has a improved survivability. And I say that with how it used to work with surgery. The technique was what could maximally be tolerated by a patient, meaning removing the most amount of breast tissue in order the idea to remove the possibility of cancer. And we've had a shift into what is the minimal surgery needed to be effective, and that's where MagSeed comes in.
And that shift has been a result of advanced technology and just new knowledge in the practice.
Correct. Research and the idea of studying patient outcomes and trying to find the best way to treat cancer over the last 20, 30 years.
Visiting today with Dr. Daniel Regier and with Dr. Pat Landis. They're both involved with the Flint Hills campus of Stormont Vail Health. That's in Junction City. Dr. Regier is a general surgeon. Dr. Landis is a radiologist, and we were talking earlier about MagSeed, which is the new technology aimed at helping to diagnose and helping to treat breast cancer. So are there limitations, or are there what you guys would call contraindications for using MagSeed in breast cancer?
I don't see any at all. It's not a radioactive agent or anything like that. It's just simply it's an iron marker that can be used with basically a magnetometer to determine where it is and localize it. There's also the MagTrace component, which is the iron-based chemical compound that's placed behind the tumor in question before surgery, and then it's allowed to look at the drainage patterns and the lymphatics from the breast tissue to find additional sources of metastatic disease and localized lymph nodes.
And we were talking earlier about the actual physical component of the MagSeed. It's 2 millimeters. It's little bitty, right? So you got to make sure you don't miss it, right?
We can see it under ultrasound.
Yep.
All right, fair enough. And so is it similar in concept to magnetic resonance imaging, MRI?
Not really. I mean, this is a MRI looks more actually at the water, hydrogen, atoms and wiggling those around, whereas this is more metal-based.
Okay, fair enough. What, Dr. Regier, what should patients expect during the MagSeed insertion?
With the MagSeed insertion, it's a procedure, so there's a little bit of local anesthesia that's used just to help be able to comfortably place the seed based off it needing a needle that actually goes into the breast itself. And this is something where we try to make the patient as comfortable as possible, talk to them during the process, give them as much information as possible so that they have expectations.
How do you know when you've succeeded at getting it in the right place?
We're monitoring the whole thing under ultrasound, so I'm actually watching the needle go into the mass. And so I know where it is before and then once we place the needle in the center of the mass, I'll actually push the magnetic seed through the needle, and it goes right into the central portion of the mass.
Mm-hmm.
Under ultrasound.
Okay.
So it's not a blind procedure at all.
And ultrasound, for people who aren't familiar with it, is what in layman's terms?
Sound waves utilizing a computer program to generate images based upon tissue density.
All aimed at helping to you guys do your job and to diagnose the challenges and then come up with interventions that will help deal with it. We're visiting today with Dr. Pat Landis. He is a radiologist with the Flint Hills campus of Stormont Vail Health, associated with that group. He also practices throughout the region. Where else do you hang your hat?
I work for a group out of Topeka for the last 25 plus years, and so I cover both Stormont, Vail, and Topeka, and St. Francis, and read things from all over: Emporia, Seneca, Sabetha, Holton, Hanover. So
what do you do in your spare time? That sounds like that's got to keep you on the road a little bit.
And what is the spare time that you speak of?
And Dr. Daniel Regier is a general surgeon within the Stormont Vail Health Hospital in Junction City. And again, describe for our listeners what it is that you do.
I am a general surgeon, so I kind of dabble a little bit in everything when it comes to elective surgeries as well as surgeries that have to come through the ER. Those are all related to hernias, gallbladders, appendix, colon surgery, now adding more and more breast surgery, in any sort of soft tissue and skin disease. And
we're visiting today about MagSeed, a new technology that helps these physicians deal with breast cancer patients. Before MagSeed, it wasn't this exact. Is that fair? A fair way to describe it?
I think that previously the surgeons had to take out more breast tissue than they will have to now. I think now with the MagSeed, it's a more localized approach and more breast conservation type surgery.
MagSeed is a small magnetic marker. It's used to localize breast lesions for surgery. Doctors Daniel Regier, a surgeon, and Dr. Pat Landis, a radiologist, are fluent in its use and application, as we've determined here in the last 45 minutes. We'll land the plane with them very shortly. Stay with us. The Trust Company is an independent, locally owned wealth management and investment company founded right here in Manhattan in 1992. The experienced professionals at the Trust Company are recruited specifically for their financial, legal, accounting, and business expertise. But they're also your neighbors, and they'll be guided by your hopes and dreams, and they will come to deeply understand your aspirations and goals. The Trust Company, locally owned, client-focused. Their only allegiance is to you. Visit thetrustco.com.
We're bringing the studio to your screen. Within Reason live on YouTube each day. Subscribe now and join the conversation.
Whether you're digging a pond, clearing brush, grading land, or doing demo, Foley Equipment, your Caterpillar dealer, is your one-stop shop. Buy or rent, Foley has the machines to get it done. Lease the Cat 255 compact track loader for just $8.99 a month and take advantage of other limited-time demo and purchase incentives. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your Foley Equipment location or go to FoleyEQ.com. That's FoleyEQ.com.
The Ramsey Show.
Completely laser focusing is the number one key to becoming debt free. Everybody tries to do about 6 things at once. I'm going to put money in my kids' college. I'm going to put money in my retirement. I'm going to put money extra on the house. I'm going to use credit card points. And that's what most Americans do. It is not a math problem as much as it is an emotional decision and this incredible focus.
Life and money advice. The Ramsey Show, weekdays from 10 to 1 on News Radio KMAN. The Ramsey Show, today at 10. This is Within Reason with Mike Matson on News Radio KMAN.
We are back to close out our dialogue today with general surgery specialist Dr. Daniel Regier and radiologist Dr. Pat Landis. They're both associated with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills campus in Junction City. Dr. Regier, general surgery. We've been talking about breast cancer, right, and this new technology that you guys are bringing to bear. It's called MagSeed. I'm not going to ask you to give away privacy concerns. You wouldn't do it even if I did ask you, right? But give us a sense of, in your mind, the patients that you have dealt with over your career. What's a success story that you like to think about?
I think there was a lady that holds a place in my mind where she was 60 years old, and she had done everything right, getting screening mammography year after year, no concern, no palpable masses. Comes in for a normal screening, and there was a lesion that ended up getting worked up to be breast cancer. And she met us with a lot of fear, anxiety, and it was one of those opportunities to create that patient rapport, create that relationship. After we discussed her options and talked with her medical oncologist, we decided that surgery first, followed by medications to help remove any sort of recurrence issues after the tumor. She had a successful surgery where it's a lumpectomy, meaning just removing a very small amount of tissue using that MagSeed technology, to where that lumpectomy resulted in her being able to keep the contour of her breast, and that was one of the goals that she wanted after the cancer was removed.
When you think about that, right, that's a best case scenario, right? Mm-hmm. That's a case where you caught it early enough, you were able to come up with some solutions that worked for her. Yep. How does that make you feel as a physician? I mean, this is always rewarding for us. You know, it's always something where you want to have that patient reward or the patient outcome story that makes everyone feel good. There are situations in our career where you have to give tough news. I think it's always a great day when you get to give that good news, the rewarding news. You had mentioned on the oncologist, and each of you had mentioned earlier this notion of collaborative conversations with healthcare professionals. At what point in the chronology of the breast cancer scenario does the oncologist enter? As soon as the diagnosis of breast cancer is made, that's when referrals come out to oncologists, which can be either in Manhattan or through the Stormont Vail system in Topeka. Visiting today with Dr. Dan Regier and with Dr. Pat Landis. Dr. Landis is a radiologist. Dr. Regier is a general surgeon. They're both associated with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills campus in Junction City. What's a typical day look like for you, Dr. Landis?
Well, every day is different, and we do all different types of procedures in our hospital, and I might be doing fluoroscopy, which is X-ray on the fly, or we're doing GI studies, or place a needle in a joint to inject some medicine to look at the labrum of the shoulder or something like that, or I've got to go do a few breast cancer workups that day as well for diagnostic mammograms and ultrasounds, and then taking care of lots of general cases, CTs through the ER, MRIs, you name it.
I suspect there's never a dull moment.
No, I really don't look at schedules. I just show up and just take them as they come.
Yeah, there you go. How about you, Dr. Regier? What's a day look like for you? If you can just describe one, that's a typical day.
I wake up every day and thank my wife for putting up with me. And then I go to work.
A lot of us need to do that more often.
That's right. And then I go to work with each day holding a little bit something different. There are some days that are dedicated to surgeries, where I have planned OR cases, and then there are some days that are dedicated more to the clinic outpatient view. So patients come see me for consultation or for follow-up after surgery. And then during that time, I'm on call, meaning that anytime the ER or our hospitalist team can give me a ring and let me know about a patient that they think I should see just for a surgical consultation.
Visiting today with Dr. Dan Regier, who is a general surgeon with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills campus, and with Dr. Pat Landis, who's a radiologist associated with that system and many others. And we brought them on today to talk about MagSeed, which is a new technology that is used in breast cancer. One last question related to MagSeed. When you guys, you have enough experience with it, right, to have an opinion about it. So that's my question of you is, when you think about MagSeed, what do you think about it? Let's start with you, Dr. Landis.
I think it just improved breast tumor localization and allowing the surgeon to have a little more freedom in getting closer to the lesion of concern, instead of having to dissect down along a wire and go through more breast tissue than maybe is necessary than before. I think it's really a game changer, I think, for ladies.
It's a great point. Dr. Regier, as a surgeon, how do you view this technology?
Very favorable. I think the simplicity of it being a safety profile. After placement, this can stay up, what is recommended, up to a month. So patients who need travel concerns or have issues where they're not able to make their surgery date based off of illness or other life events that happen, that's able to remain in place just so then surgery can be rescheduled at a reasonable time.
So you guys deal with patients who enter the healthcare system during a time in their life when they may not be thinking 100% positive, right? There's a challenge. That's why they come to you, right? So when you think about that, Dr. Landis, what is it that you try to do when you encounter that patient?
Well, we do our best to put them at ease and know that we are behind them 100%. We are going to work together and get their care lined out. They are not alone. We are going to be with them every step of the way. And, we want to keep that care at home and look people in the eye, because this is the Midwest and this is what we do. We take care of each other.
In that notion of that connection with the doctor and the patient, that has to be at the core of what you do.
Oh, yes. It's one of those things where I was always told you treat your patient like you want your parents to be treated.
And clearly that's what you bring to the table.
Yep.
All right, visiting today with Dr. Dan Regier and with Dr. Pat Landis, and we're preparing to land the plane. So let me ask you guys this. When you think about your careers, right, and when you think about the decisions that you made at some point in your life to get into healthcare and to become physicians and to do all the things you needed to do to get where you are, a little bit of education involved, a little bit of expense involved. Let's start with you, Dr. Landis. What do you like best about your job, about being a radiologist?
I like the versatility of in the detective work. I always really liked anatomy and pathology in medical school. I wasn't really keen about managing pills or things like that in office work, but I really like what I do because I get to see all the anatomy and the pathology every day, and and help your physician figure out what's wrong so that you can get treated as soon as possible.
Dr. Daniel Regier, what do you like best about your work?
I like the ability to solve a problem for a patient, having the timeline of someone seeing me with a question or an issue that they need help with, undergoing surgery or talking with them about other procedural options, and then after that has taken place, being able to have a patient who now is satisfied, better quality of life.
And I said it was the last question. It was the next to the last question.
Oh.
Here's the last question. People listening to this program, right, and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't really thought about breast cancer, but they make a good point about mammography. They make a good point about all of this. I think about Aunt Betty, who had the challenge, right? So advice to the layperson who might not be thinking about breast cancer. Dr. Landis.
Just get your yearly mammograms, see your physician every year, do your monthly self-examinations, be in charge of your health care, and stay up to date on things. Work with your care providers to get the best possible care that you can.
As a general surgeon, your advice?
Yeah, anytime you can offer and be able to partake within cancer screening, I would always encourage that. Treating disease that's early and treating disease that's small is always easier in the long run and can give you a better quality of life afterwards.
And you guys are both associated with the Stormont Vail Health Flint Hills campus in Junction City, relatively new to the Stormont Vail Health system with respect to the big picture view. So you may be too close to it to be objective, but is it working?
Yes. Yeah, I being there for as long as I have, I think it's been a great improvement, and Stormont is a tremendous anchor for healthcare in our northeast part of the state.
Well, and if you think about what happened with respect to it being a county-owned hospital and it was in trouble, and Stormont Vail had the wherewithal and the ability to make sure that it did not close, that has to be good for the community.
I think so. I think from the time that I've been here, being the new guy on the block, it's been an incredible growth as well as a credible response from this area.
Mag seed markers provide advantages such as more flexibility in scheduling, improved surgical accuracy, and a less invasive patient experience. My thanks today to Drs. Dan Regier and Pat Landis for sharing their time and expertise and talent with us today to allow us to get smarter about medical technology and maybe remove some fear and perhaps instill some confidence. Groundbreaking will take place tomorrow afternoon in Manhattan for the Manhattan Infill Housing Project. It's a $15 million development that will deliver some 40 affordable homes for Manhattan's workforce. It is made possible through a successful public-private partnership. Tomorrow morning on this program, we will be joined by the private component, Tyler Holloman, whose Frontier Development firm was selected through a competitive RFP process and collaboration. We'll find out from Tyler what exactly this notion of infill development is and what it might mean for our community. Next week, we've got a full slate of guests, and we hope you'll tune in for us. They call them student guardians. They're kids from Wamego High School, and they help organize honor flights to war memorials in the nation's capital to thank veterans for their service. We'll be joined on Monday, the day before Veterans Day, by Sean Hornig and Mike Riley, and they'll tell us all about the student guardians and the Wamego honor flights. Tuesday is Veterans Day proper. He has served in the Manhattan community as a family physician, in the U.S. Army, as a city commissioner, and as mayor, and in the state legislature. On his 93rd birthday, Tuesday, November 11th, we will pay tribute to Roger Wrights and his lifetime of service to Manhattan. We hope you tune in for that. We hope it'll be a special conversation. Wednesday of next week, what do you do if that household injury sustained doing some weekend home improvements requires more than the first aid you learned in Boy Scouts? We'll find out with a wound care specialist from Stormont Vail Health. Thursday of next week, once a bustling newspaper factory, now transformed into Manhattan, Kansas' most electrifying music venue. It's called The Press. You may remember it as Ag Press. It continues to attract crowds of music lovers of all kinds. It is the brainchild of Derek Richards. He's the creative force behind it, and he will join us on Thursday of next week. And 1 week from tomorrow, we will visit with Chris Nolte. She is the executive director of Good Shepherd Home Care and Hospice. She'll join us in November, which is National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. We'll learn all about care for those with life-limiting illnesses and their families, all coming up on Friday. My name is Mike Matson. The program is Within Reason. We are designed specifically to foster critical thinking. We hope today, right now, you are smarter at this moment than you were an hour ago about breast cancer, its diagnosis, and the treatments that are involved to help solve it. This is News Radio KMAN. The program is Within Reason. Thanks for listening.
KS State Bank offers convenient service.
Fuck.
The latest news from the News Radio KMAN and Manhattan Mercury Newsroom.
I'm Gwen King. Winners in the race for the Manhattan City Commission say they intend to look for ways the city can save money in its next budget. Commissioner-elect Larry Fox, who finished top overall in voting Tuesday, says reining in spending is a top priority.
One of our issues was all of the projects that they come up with, the city that they think we need, that some of us maybe don't think we need right away. I mean, we've got to look at what we can afford, and there have been some projects put out there that, like a roundabout on Anderson, that we're not ready for that.
Commissioner-elect Jim Morrison says the most recent city budget was unacceptable.
I was disappointed that the commission basically, in my opinion, overrode the city manager who recommended no increase, and they did it anyway. I have faith that we will form a working relationship with our city manager, and she and us and the staff come up with some solutions not to spend as much money as we do and be taking care of our needs.
Andrew Von Lintel, who finished third in voting Tuesday, says his intention is to start by cutting back on extra spending.
We've got a couple sales taxes, special sales taxes that we're going to have to revisit here shortly. Then rework the Parks and Rec.
This isn't going to work. Cool. Okay.
latest news from the News Radio KMAN and Manhattan Mercury Newsroom.
I'm Gwen King. A Manhattan woman is jailed following an investigation into a burglary and credit card misuse reported this summer. According to Riley County Police, the case was first filed June 15th when Beto's Meat Market reopened a known individual. When Beto's Meat Market reported a known individual had unlawfully used a credit card at the store. Officers say the investigation involved allegations of burglary, theft of property or services, and criminal use of a financial card. On Tuesday, officers arrested 43-year-old Tiffany Fernandez at the Riley County Jail. On Tuesday, officers arrested 43-year-old Tiffany Fernandez at the Riley County Jail on the requested charges. She remains jailed on a $10,000 bond. A man on trial for murder in Riley County has chosen to represent himself. On the third day of his trial, Wednesday, 32-year-old Antoine McNeil of Ogden asked to dismiss his attorney, Julie Effenbach. McNeil is charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, aggravated assault, aggravated burglary, criminal discharge of a firearm, and interference with law enforcement in the October 2024 shooting death of 58-year-old Don Stovall. Judge Grant Bannister warned McNeil that proceeding without counsel was unwise. Effenbach told the court that request was unexpected and noted McNeil faces at least 50 years if convicted. Bannister allowed McNeil to represent himself, with Effenbach remaining as standby counsel. Mail ballots continue to trickle in the Riley County Clerk's office. Each of the candidates picked up some extra votes Wednesday, but not enough to change the outcome of either local race. The margin between third and fourth place in the City Commission race narrowed slightly, with Amber Starling closing the gap by 3 votes. Starling still trails Andrew Van Lintel in fourth place by 36 votes. The presumptive commissioner-elect Von Lintel remains in third place with 2,688 votes to Starling's 2,652. Commissioners-elect Larry Fox and Jim Morrison picked up 11 and 10 more votes respectively. Mail and provisional ballots will be counted through Friday.
The latest news from the News Radio KMAN and Manhattan Mercury Newsroom.
I'm Gwen King. A Manhattan woman is jailed following an investigation into a burglary and credit card misuse reported this summer. According to Riley County Police, the case was first filed June 15th when Beto's Meat Market reported a known individual had unlawfully used a credit card at the store. Officers say the investigation involved allegations of burglary, theft of property or services, and criminal use of a financial card. On Tuesday, officers arrested 43-year-old Tiffany Fernandez at the Riley County Jail on the requested charges. She remains jailed on a $10,000 bond. A man on trial for murder in Riley County has chosen to represent himself. On the third day of his trial Wednesday, 32-year-old Antoine McNeil of Ogden asked to dismiss his attorney, Julie Effenbach. McNeil is charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, aggravated assault, aggravated burglary, criminal discharge of a firearm, and interference with law enforcement in the October 2024 shooting death of 58-year-old Don Stovall. Judge Grant Bannister warned McNeil that proceeding without counsel was unwise. Effenbach told the court the request was unexpected and noted McNeil faces at least 50 years if convicted. Bannister allowed McNeil to represent himself, with Effenbach remaining as standby counsel. Each of the candidates picked up some extra votes Wednesday, but not enough to change the outcome of either local race. The margin between third and fourth place in the City Commission narrowed slightly, with Amber Starling closing the gap by 3 votes. The presumptive commissioner-elect Von Lintel remains in third place with 2,688 votes to Starling's 2,652. Commissioner-elect Larry Fox and Jim Morrison picked up 11 and 10 more votes respectively. Mail and provisional ballots will be counted through Friday. For more information, visit News Radio KMAN. McNeil is charged with first-degree murder to dismiss his attorney, Julie Effenbach. McNeil is charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, aggravated assault, aggravated burglary, criminal discharge of a firearm, and provisional ballots will be counted through Friday. Slightly, with Amber Starling closing the gap by 3 votes. The presumptive Commissioner-elect Von Lintel remains in third place with 2,688 votes to Starling's 2,652. Commissioner-elect Larry Fox and Jim Morrison picked up 11 and 10 more votes respectively. Mail and provisional ballots will be counted through Friday.